I'm Neil Parrott. I'm with Traffic Solutions, and I'm representing Winners Chapel tonight. I'm so glad, we are all so glad that you are here, because we really do want to hear community inputs, hear how we can be good neighbors, and we do have an overcapacity crowd, so folks outside are listening, and they have all the displays that were in the back are outside. So some of the things that we refer to on the PowerPoint, they can actually look at outside. Just a little bit about the order. We're going to do a presentation, and then we're going to have questions from the audience or comments. Because it is an overcapacity crowd, we're going to keep comments and questions to 2 minutes maximum, and then we'll go ahead and have answers if needed as a result of those questions. So there will be time at the end for comments and questions. Before we get started, I do want to recognize some of the political officials that are here in the room. First, from the Office of the County Executive, Steve Shue. He has Michelle Corcadell.
He didn't.
And also the local state senator, Ed Riley. And then serving the area of Crofton, we have Delegate Michael Malone. And County Councilman Jerry Walker. Right now, did I miss anyone I need to recognize?
How about a Gabriel's delegate?
I think they serve Gambles too, is that right? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, and this project's in Gambles, so that's an appropriate question. Very good. That's good. Of course, talking about Gambles, that's where this project is. It's on Defense Highway 1597 in Gambles. Just really briefly, I'm going to go through some of the folks that have worked on this project at this point. The plans are preliminary so that we can listen to the community, but some of the folks are, I'm Neil Parrott, the facilitator tonight. Dr. Addy, he's with the church right here. Pastor Kobe, right here. Mr. Barami Kanji, the engineer. Sean, the architect. And O'Kelly, where's he going? Landscape architect. And Mr. Jamie Frazier. Great. Again, just tonight's agenda. We wanted to get started at 6:30, so we're actually a little early, but that's because we were thinking we'd wingle first and look at some of the presentations, but it's probably better to go right into it. And that way, at the end, when you leave outside, we're going to have a lot of those things that were inside. So 6:30, 7:30 approximately, we'll do the presentation, and then afterwards, we'll have time to review the boards. And then outside of the public answering questions, you can answer any of the team members after the presentation. Of course, tonight's goals, several decisions have to be made by the church. Different things that they're looking at. And so one of the goals tonight is to listen to the community and hear what your concerns are, things that you favor, and see how we can arrange our design so it would be the best way to make the community an enhancement to the area. Of course, our intent is to share the preliminary drawings that we do have, get comments on those, and also get your feedback regarding specific ways that we can be a good neighbor, and any specific concerns that you might have, and see if there's any way that we can address those as we move forward. We might not be able to say in tonight's meeting, this is how we're going to address it, but at least we'll know that concern, and we can take it back and see how we can work to address those things. Of course, this meeting is more about hearing the community's collective input than satisfying a pre-submission requirement. But just to say, it is a pre-submission requirement. It's something that has to happen, a community meeting before you can go and give your plans to the county. There's a project description. This is something that Mr. Brahmakanji put together, and basically talks about the tax district, the map, and
How do you expect us to read that?
Can't read it.
Nobody can see that.
no, I agree with you. But there is this, and we can give it to you.
You might as well cut it off. It doesn't mean anything.
Will you make the whole presentation public and available to us?
Yes, we can. I'll tell you what, anybody who gave us your email here, at the end of this meeting, we're going to send out minutes, and as part of the minutes, we can send you the slides, so you can look at those things in more detail. Great. This next one is Anne Arundel County zoning. Excuse me. Can I have some water? Thank you. Basically, the zoning is there's a permitted use, and on this site, it is zoned RA, and the permitted use is for a religious facility on a lot of at least 2 acres. It's plenty more than 2 acres here, with less than 300 on-site parking spots. So you've heard probably 299. That would be the maximum that the church could go to, and that's permitted. They wouldn't need to go to a special exception. There's no zoning change. That's just what is allowed on this type of zoning. Just to go into some more of the rules with the zoning on this property, the churches, of course, have to have less than 300 parking spots. They'll have less than 900 seats. A maximum building height, thank you very much, of 45 feet or less. And currently the plans meet these requirements. And if they wouldn't, they would have to go in then for a special exception, in which case the zoning committee would either make that decision or would even go to the county council. Now, this just kind of is an outline of what you're going to see next. You're going to see several slides of the preliminary plans. One's the site civil engineering plans, the traffic, some information on traffic study, the landscaping, forest conservation plans, and then architectural plans. This is just the first one. This is the project overview. It's the site plan. It kind of shows where the church is. Hopefully I won't cause it to squeak, but thank you. Right out there, we've got 450 Defense Highway, and then Cox Road is where the main entrance would be for the church.
Is there a reason why in many of your drawings you have them with north not up? I mean, most folks tend to look at a map north up. It seems a little confusing. If you guys could point that out
This
to
one,
everybody so that
that's a
they
great question. Which
understand.
way is north? You're right. North is that way.
And you can see the north arrow, which is like.
Oh yeah, crystal clear.
Can you turn
It's
the
just to try and fit it
Can
on.
you turn the lights down?
Oh, sure.
That would probably make it.
I think they're right over here. There we go. Great. Good suggestion. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next one. We'll get a little more detail. This one, north is up, so this is a little bit easier. North is up. It shows the building. It shows Cox Road, of course, and Defense Highway. There's Cox Road going north-south and Defense Highway. And you can see it's kind of a flag entrance to Defense Highway. The majority of it, right, there's the flag on the top. Where just a little part of the land hits Defense Highway, most of it is right along Cox Road. Go to the next one. This just shows the existing conditions, basically contour lines. There's really not much on the property right now as far as structures go. So that just,
Well,
yes.
2 historic barns.
450 Defense Highway is right there. And Northway is going sideways on this one. So they could fit on the one slide. And that's Cox Road going, that he's drawing now. Okay. Thank you. All right, north is sideways again on this one. Defense Highway is just up and down. It's 450. Right, and this is. All right, am I on? Great. All right, thank you. All right, so here's the site development plan. And you can see the building right there where the church is proposed and the parking around. You'll see later slides that some of that blue in between the parking aisles will have vegetation in it to make it look attractive. Let's go to the next one. Here's just a close-up of the building. Now you've got north is, okay. North now is up and down. So this is Cox Road in this picture. And Cox Road does a 90. Okay. That's a micro bioretention pond so that we can treat the stormwater on site and using it in the areas of the parking aisles. And also there'll be vegetation in those areas as well.
What are you gonna do with the water? How many gallons of water gonna dump down into the creek?
That's a great question, and let's hold the questions till the end, and we can answer those questions. At the end, what I plan to do is the civil engineer, Mr. Kanji's here, and he's going to point whichever specific question it is to the right person to answer that. We've got the whole team here tonight to make sure we can answer those. So please hold that, and we'll get back to it at the end.
I need to sit down, I don't know. I really need to sit down.
And this is the sanitary plan we're looking at doing, well, you'll see later on, in the newspaper article, it talks about how we might go with city water and city sewer. It looks like we're going to try not to do that. We're going to try and do it using, well, our plan is to have septic system, and our plan is to use water, well water. So this next slide, and that's great. If you have questions on that, please ask it at the end. We have the experts here. I'm not the expert on that, but we do have them here. This next slide is the natural resources inventory and the forest stand delineation plan, just to show you that they went out and really identified all those areas. They're being careful to protect the environment. This is the landscape plan 1. And you can see around the perimeter of the property, they're planting trees, and that'll help provide a buffer between the residents and the church. And this is the bottom part. We couldn't fit it on the one slide, but you can see that the trees continue along Cox Road.
What kind of trees?
This is
Pine
a
trees.
great question. We can ask that at the end. And we do have our landscape
It'll be
architects
pine
here.
fir trees, they're the cheapest.
I have one question. Hold on, your project manager, I do construction work myself, so I can answer all your questions. But the thing we have is, if we keep on going on, if we keep on going on.
Sir! A lot of been asked. Everybody's been asked the whole.
We got the law here.
These
That's
other
what we
folks
need.
are gonna answer questions with the point.
People,
We got the law
there are
here.
people outside that will love your seats. If you can't follow by his rules, you'll be exchanged. Please.
Who is that?
Asking questions towards the end. Thank you.
We're not saying we don't want to answer questions. We're saying let us finish and then ask.
No, but my one question is that, no, you had a rebuttal. My question is, some of these folks have other questions. If we move on too fast, they will forget their questions. That's all we say. Can't you do it as you go along, sir?
No. We're going to do questions at the end. That's a good suggestion. The problem is there are too many people. We're going to have 2 minutes. We have to go pretty quickly. And please write your questions down.
Oh, yeah, with my pen and paper I brought.
So, this is Cox Road.
Because he's wanting to throw somebody out.
This is Cox Road, and this shows you what the church plans to do. This is a couple hundred feet between the church entrance and Maryland 450, which is running along top. And basically what they're going to do is add a lane. Right now, if you try and exit or enter Cox Road, it's kind of narrow. This
Very good.
So, just the other day I was there, I tried to exit Cox Road to make a left, and the residents wisely waited. They didn't make the right turn in. They said, no, you just go. So I went ahead and but what we're going to be able to do then is widen this so that it's be very comfortable to make a right in, right out at the same time, and also to have a right turn lane so that as churches do exit on Sunday mornings, that, well, it'll be a specific, this will be a right turn lane dedicated, and this will be a shared through left. So it'll be 2 exit lanes. So this next slide, thank you. This next slide shows what the church desires to do. We'd like to build acceleration and deceleration lanes along Defense Highway, Maryland 450. So this shows the acceleration lane, and then this shows the deceleration lane. Basically, you have to kind of connect where they are. And outside, it shows the exact, the actual length to scale, and then it shows a couple of the other roadways so that you can get a good feel for it. So if you go outside, you look at the...
It should be noted that that deceleration lane is not going to happen. I know that the church has contacted that landowner, and they are not going to sell you that property.
Well, that's a great point. This is what the church would like to construct, these acceleration and deceleration lanes. And they're going to offer fair market value for the property frontage on the south side of 450 to try and do that construction. If that's not possible, if the landowners don't want to sell, wherever that landowner is, that's as far as they can make that acceleration or deceleration lane.
That's the corner.
How are you going to turn left out with 2 lanes coming this way?
We'll come back to traffic questions. And I have some more slides here. This one, when you go through the traffic impact study review process with the State Highway Administration, you use something called the critical lane volume analysis. And the critical lane volume, what they look at is the level of service. How easy is it for people to turn in and out of the roadway? A level of service A is the best. That means it's very easy to come in and out. Level of service F means it fails, which means there's probably something that should be done to try and help. Here at Cox Road, during the peak hours, right now, it's level service A in the PM peak hour. And we also look at...
What are those peak hours?
That's a false study because the counters weren't
So-
even close to 450. They were
As we go-
down past the property.
And look at a traffic impact study. What we do is we count during the peak hours. So in this case, it would be 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then also on Sunday mornings from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You get a good idea of what's happening. And here we see at Cox Road, it's level service A during the PM peak hour and the Sunday peak hour. Now, when you add the background traffic, that means about a 3% growth compounded every single year. And then you also add any planned developments to the area. It does go to a B during the PM peak hour, and it remains an A during the Sunday peak hour. When you add the church, which is the total traffic conditions, then it remains a B in the PM, and it goes to a B in the Sunday peak hour. So let's go next slide. Now, we also looked at, we'll come back. We also looked at other intersections as a part of this traffic impact study for the church. We submitted this study already to the state highway and already to the county for their review. The level of service at, let's say, 3 and 450. That's a couple intersections down. During the PM peak hour, it's an E now, but with background, it goes to F. So just by 3% compounded by 3 years, we're going to level service F. And of course, that includes other planned growth that's already planned for the area. And it would remain in F with the church there during the PM peak hour. Now,
Is there a
peak
grade
hour
lower than
is
F?
Typically around 4 to 5, or 4:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Excuse me. Is there a grade lower than F? Well, just want to know if it gets any worse.
So we looked at the regular PM peak hours, and again at 3 and 450, it is an F. But I was talking about what the church contributes. The church, we use a national standard. It's called the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and they have a book where you can see, based on the square footage of a church, how much traffic will be generated on that facility. So based on that, we're going to contribute about 20 trips, but you can see the total CLVs here are over 1,800. So the church is not contributing very much, not planned to during the PM peak hours. Now on Sunday, that's where the majority of their traffic will be hitting the streets. And we have a level of service C at around 3 and 450. And of course, you look at 450 and 424, the total traffic conditions there is a D, and it would be a B on a Sunday peak hour.
How does it go better when you're adding 300 vehicles?
And we can come back to these. The site distances.
Great answer.
Well, one concern that was brought up to us was, as you come out of Cox Road trying to make a right or a left turn, what are the site distances and is it adequate? If you're looking, of course, north is going up and down. So if you're looking at Cox Road and you want to make a left or a right turn, you have 578 feet as you look to your left and 524 feet as you look to your right. And that's satisfactory. You have two different things here. A stopping sight distance, which means someone has the ability to stop, and you just need 425 for a 50-mile-an-hour speed. And then the intersection sight distance is what's desirable, and at 45, we need 500 feet, which we've got, and at 50, 555. So it's close if people were going 50. So we did look at the sight distance, and you'll see that we took something in consideration on the next slide. Okay, so on Sunday mornings, if you look at other churches in the area, a lot of churches, what they'll do is have police officers stationed to help at the very beginning and end of church time so that people can come out and it won't cause great delay. We researched that and found, of course, that the churches are the ones who are paying for those off-duty officers to come and serve the intersections, the community, and the church. And in this location, we're planning to have 2 police officers. One would be right at Cox Road. Of course, the church is planned for right about here. One will be here at Cox Road. The other one, and thank you, Willows. That's where it would be. And the reason for that, for the two reasons. One, it'll serve Crofton community better, which is on the other side of the road. But also, there is a hill between the Willows and Cox Road. And by having the 2 police officers, that way no one's going to get rear-ended. Because, well, you're right. You can never say never. You never know what's going to happen. People can drive however they do. But by having 2 police officers, it's not going to be a problem where people are stacked up. Maybe if it was just 1 police officer coming here and someone would come over the hill and perhaps cause a rear-end. But by having 2, we eliminate that concern.
Before church starts and after church finishes each time?
Yeah, it depends what the needs are. Certainly at the end of church.
That's a no.
She wanted to know for the qualification for proposed church services. They said they come in.
Well, we can go to that. I'm not sure at this time. We'll talk. Okay.
Move on.
Let's go. Let's go. Go back to Terrytown.
Was it? Let's go back.
Go back.
Okay, good. Next one. All right, so that talks about the hill that I just talked about, and why it's ideally to have 2 officers, and also how it serves the crop community. So let's go to the next slide. This is the water and sewer. Just something real quick here. The church has changed the initial plans. They were initially looking at doing public water, public sewer, like we mentioned earlier. Now they're looking at installing a well and septic. And the church will provide infrastructure that if it was offered on that side of the road in the future, that they could convert at that time to public water and sewer. Of course, that's only what's made available in the future. And the site location for Terrytown Avenue, this is just a photo that shows Cox Road, right on the other side there. This would be where the church is back here, and this is Terrytown Road here, and 450 is going right there. This is an artist rendering of the church. It just shows what it could look like. From one view, this is the northeast bird view. We'll change the directions in the next one. There you go, there's kind of the front view. Go back to that one just a little bit. You can see that there's a, thank you, yes, Cox Road's right here. And then out here is 450, yes sir. The parking surrounds the church. You can see a lot of it in the back, right here, and on the side. What's that?
Where's the road where it curves right on Cox?
You can see that on the far right side of the slide. Yeah, can you point there? It's a script, yeah. It kind of goes, there it is right there. Yeah.
The other views show that.
And in front of the church, there's also just this area that's just really nice, meant to be an attractive area right in the front with landscaping.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Let's just go to the next one. This shows the grounds and upper floor plan of the church. And outside, we have a big diagram of this, so you can take a look at that outside if you want to get the real specifics and look into it. Go to the next one. This is another rendering of how the church could look. Another rendering from a different view. So let's talk about what happens next. Now, first, obviously, we're going to have questions and answers right here tonight. But right after this, thank you for asking. We're going to mail out to anybody who gave us their information, whether it's email or mail, the minutes for this meeting. Hopefully, we'd like to do it by email. And then also, we'll give you this PowerPoint presentation. And of course, the original mailing list, we'll get it mailed to them. After that, the preliminary plans and stormwater management plans could be submitted to the county. Now, it was suggested to us that we have another public meeting in a larger room. So we're going to pursue that as well. So even though people are outside listening, people here in the room, we are going to have another public meeting to discuss this project and try and make sure we have heard fully from the community, even from those who are outside that couldn't be in here and speak tonight. So that will happen before any plans are submitted, because we want to listen and change our plans as needed. But after it does go to the county, then we submit grading plans. After that, we submit sketch plans, again, stormwater management. Then we submit the final plans, stormwater management. And when that happens, within 45 days of submitting those final plans, it's required by Anne Arundel County law that we would have another community meeting at that time to hear the community's thoughts about those final plans.
It's been approved by the county yet?
It hasn't been submitted yet.
It hasn't been proposed.
This meeting's before we haven't done any formal submissions at all,
That's wonderful.
except for the traffic study.
Sir, I know we're not asking questions, but
It
based on,
is.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, he said, I'm sorry, let me finish, I'm sorry. 450 is a state road.
I think
Not sure it's a county road.
Who is that? He's a big
Okay.
shot. He's powerful. He's a big man. We need more of them.
And what I'll do when people ask questions, I'll try and repeat the question, not only to make sure that I heard it properly, but the folks outside need to hear what was asked inside here also. So I'll make sure to repeat the questions. So the church plans to contribute to the community. One thing is by widening Cox Road by about 14 feet to add that right turn lane. Install sidewalk from the church along 450. And we'd like to add some community amenities. But we'd like to hear some ideas from the community of what might be helpful to you all. There you go. Well, so please suggest some of those things as we go forward. Let's go to the next slide. All right, now. Yes, sir. Now we're going to go to questions and comments. I'd like to start with the elected officials. I'd like to start with Senator Ed Riley.
Turn on the lights.